Good evening and welcome to the Monday, April 24th of 2023 public board meeting of the Kingston City Land Bank. My name is Mike. I serve as the executive director. We ask that all members of the public limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes per speaker. And with that, I turn it over to the board chair, Mr. Daniel Cantor.
Hello and welcome to April's board meeting. Good to see everyone. Real quick, we do a roll call. So I am Daniel Cantor, board chair.
Dennison, vice chair. Aaron Tulowicz, board member.
Minnie Hennigan, treasurer.
Ethel Knox, board member.
Great job. We have quorum. And we all know our names. Now, can we vote to accept the prior meeting minutes as uploaded to YouTube?
Make a motion to vote to accept the prior meeting minutes uploaded to YouTube.
Second.
All in favor of accepting prior meeting minutes as uploaded to YouTube? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we do a new fun vote to approve the meeting agenda. Love the layers of formalities. It's one thing for me. And this agenda looks so here.
I aim to get better every month.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor of approving this meeting's agenda? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Well, gosh, this was actually a really exciting and busy month. So as everyone knows, but the public may not, the city of Kingston passed the resolution that allows for dispositions to the Kingston City Land Bank. It is a somewhat complicated resolution, so I urge people to read it, but essentially it vastly widens our ability to acquire properties, to rehab properties, to partner with other organizations. It's a really good thing. And so thank you to the Common Council for getting it done. Let's see, so currently as a result of that, we're investigating several properties. We might have more to say about that in ATC. Mike and Kyle and Owen, I think most especially, have been really investigating each one. And if anybody wants to walk any of the properties, we can make that happen, so let us know. Cool. Also, as a result of the disposition policy passing, we have bought 3 more houses. So we are now the proud owners of 38 Chapel Street, 488 Hasbrook, and 52 Grand. All of those homes were on the original 2018 resolution number 1792 that has haunted all of us for roughly 5 years. And now we finally own them. Thank you to the city council for also making that possible. Our legacy cities homes are coming along beautifully, thanks in large part to Owen and Maida Contracting. Rob from Maida, I understand, is coming to join our next board meeting, so best behavior, everyone. He's super nice. And they look beautiful. If you want to walk through any of them, now's as good a time as any, but East Union and German are really wrapping up and starting to look like real houses. It's very cool. So as that, we will be doing our lottery next month. So this is the second time that we've done the lottery. This one's a little slightly more complicated because it's 2 homes. I finally sat down and wrote out what I think is the protocol, which we can talk about later. I expect it to. But basically, both houses have the same.
If we want. Okay.
We want.
It's a, bingo thing. All right.
Yeah.
Next month, okay.
Bring it. And you can have it branded, which you can.
Bring that in the gavel and then we're all set.
What else? Those we could follow. So the income And household size eligibility requirements are the same for both of those two houses, so it'll be one lottery, with two selected. First selections for each house and then alternates after that for either house. Franklin RFP has gone out and come back around, so thank you, Mike, Owen, et cetera, for getting that done. And I will leave a not to exceed vote tonight, so that hopefully we can be on contract to finish the plan between this meeting and our next one. Also very exciting. And
Wednesday.
Hamilton, 24 Hamilton will be closing next week. No, this week. Today is Monday. In a couple of days, this will be our first as-is sale. We've been with this buyer for a year and a half-ish now. So a really long road, but that's sort of part of the value of what this program can do is make sure that people are really in a position to do the thing they say they're gonna do when we dispose of a property to them. So hopefully next month they will be reporting the closing and maybe the start of some activity over there at that house.
Is he scheduled to start work immediately now?
Pretty soon.
Great.
Close on construction financing and start.
Yeah,
That's great. He's been chopping it.
So when you say close, I mean, buy as is, that means we bought it and we're selling to somebody the way we bought it.
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm
Totally.
trying.
No,
A small,
I'm trying.
a small business owner in Rondown who was a red deer. So, yeah.
Okay.
been interested in this house, I think longer than I is. A really funny house, I'm sure it's a great.
And just like Terry, it's not well suited for a new homeowner. It's a little house, it had no bathroom, I mean, it's really, so to renovate it, to sell it as affordable housing, just didn't make any sense. So we decided.
600 square feet. Whole two-story house, 600 square feet.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it was built, I guess, as like worker housing for the cement factory that was near.
Oh, okay.
And so it was one of like a bunch of these little cottages, and some of them are still there, but they've all been,
And where's this at?
24 Hamilton Street, is like,
Yeah.
you have to, it's the cutest little house.
It's adorable.
It's
Yeah.
If you drive down a Peel and go right on Hamilton.
Just don't go inside.
It's a weird spot, but it's a pretty area. Yeah, it's like. I knocked down in the front. It's like there's patience. Yeah, exactly. Several couple of representatives from our organization, including Mike and Bob and me, went to meet with the county executive and other members at the county about potentially setting up a land bank at the county level and what that would look like. So my understanding is that they will be getting back to us with some sort of proposal and we'll see what happens. And then I think the big thing that Mike will tell you more about, but I will sing his praises for a second. You know, we've been at this for a long time now. It's very, very exciting that Mike and Kyle and Stacy and Owen and all of us in our own small ways were able to secure our largest grant to date, $1.8 million as called the from HCR, really, really exciting. So great job, guys. We're gonna use it wisely.
We will.
We're very proud of our team for getting it over the finish line. So I think that's all for me. Okay. Now, we have our public comments period.
There are no members of the public.
All right, then. Okay. It's-
They'll watch later on YouTube.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, come up. Thank you very much. Thank you for those kind words about the award. It's definitely a group effort and we will spend it wisely. Very excited about it. So more to come on that in the coming months. To stick to my script a little bit in the pre-development updates category, last month I said that we were working on 17 properties in pre-development. This is before we buy anything. This is before we even consider moving into the formal pre-development stage. It's more of a pipeline category. So now we have 18 properties because we know the city will be putting 20 Stefan as part of their public RFP. So if you're counting the numbers, we're up one more property that we're looking at. We had a great review, I think, today at ADC to go through what some of the options could be and make some recommendations to the committee. In essence, we're now going to begin reaching out over the next month to come back to ADC with some more input. So we'll start talking to neighbors or potential partners on some of these sites with the understanding that we, the Kingston City Land Bank, have to get back to the city by July 9th with our response to their offer. So to get into the details, what's in those properties, we have 2 single-family homes. That's at Abbey and Murray. They're in various states of disrepair, some more than others. Maybe more to come at ADC about what we talked about today with pathways forward on that. And then there are 15 vacant lots. And our recommendation today to the ADC committee was to reject 10 of the properties and to investigate 7 of those properties. So 7, including the 2 family homes. So that's what we're starting down the road on. We have been working on it. Thanks to Kyle and Owen and Stacy for humoring all this crazy stuff that we throw around. Like initially, what about this? What about that? How much is this going to cost? When do we get to do that? But the $1.8 million really helps unlock a lot of that. So we need to begin the process of jumping through the state hoops to secure that money, and then we can start the process of conducting what I would call pre-development, so spending money on surveys and title and phase 1 and existing conditions and all these other things. In advance of that, we conducted the RFPs that will probably be discussed at ADC, and so that we'll be ready to go as soon as we have the money. It will be the fastest thing ever. So I think that's in a very measured way. I think we're showing that we appreciate the policy, we appreciate the ability to do our work, and we're working as fast as we can. Also, under the pipeline stage, we've got City of Kingston new foreclosures. I have no updates from last month, but I do know that the city has sent out notices that begin the process. It doesn't really matter how many people the notices go out to because it doesn't really indicate how many foreclosures may come back. It may be 150. They're published in the newspaper. I don't read the printed copy of the Daily Freeman, so I didn't get a copy of it. But generally, historically, it's about 5 to 10 foreclosures per year for the city. So we'll know more later this year on that. But right now, we're just kind of watching and communicating with the city. And then NCST, the Neighborhood Community Stabilization Trust, thank you for approving at the last board meeting our ability to move forward with that with the disposition. So we're engaged with them. We're scheduling a kickoff call, begin the process. We'll have more updates. That might be a way to get a few homes per year, possibly, but possibly not. So thank you for that. In the pre-development category, we are now up to 8 properties, up from 5 last month. And as Daniel mentioned, that's because I love the numbers. I think it helps to track things. If it's me being too crazy, just let me know. I'll do like color coded or, like emoticons or like anything. It's just, to me, it helps me get organized and present to you kind of what we're up to. So Grand, Hasbrook, and Chapel had those 3 on. So now we have 8 properties in pre-development. Legacy Cities 2, which is currently Gill, Grand, Hasbrook, Chapel, possibly Abbey and Stefan, but I'm not counting those yet because we haven't gotten to the point where we've made decisions, so we're able to acquire. But as Daniel mentioned, we closed on April 19th, and we're waiting for that clearance process, basically, from the state to be able to spend funding. We're ready to go with cleanouts, preliminary architecture, existing conditions. We do have some quotes back, but we're still thinking if we have to do an RFP, we wanted to take temperature from people and see if we were below that threshold. Temporary electric closes this week, the RFP. Lead testing, asbestos testing is done. And then we'll get into the big ones later, which are architectural, legal, general contract. Similarly, 3rd Avenue, same waiting game, same process, same funding source from LBI 2. And as Daniel mentioned, Hamilton closing this Wednesday. I just drove the package over to Rhinebeck today. We're definitely closing on Wednesday. It's happening. Super excited. And then at Down Street is the last property in this category. We talked today about revisiting the broker RFP. I think that was the decision of the committee to issue the broker RFP. We can talk more about it at ADC. New funding updates. I regret to inform you, we are down from $4.65 million that we were trying for last month to $1.225 million we're trying for because we were awarded so much money. That's an update of good kind, but with a downward trend. So ARPA funding, we just received the contract. We have comments back on the contract. This is with the City of Kingston, $1.1 million. We have a fair amount of comments, so I'm going to send those to the city. Probably connect Brian and the city's attorney directly. I think that's probably the most efficient route, but we'll get comments back on that. The city would like us to be in contract by May 1st. Depends on how quickly they respond to our comments, but we've gotten them our comments within a matter of days of them sending the contract, so we're being as quick as we can on that. There are no new policy requirements for the KCLB in the agreement, which is good. I think internally we could always have our policies kind of squared away, but we don't have to jump through hoops quickly to do anything with that, which is good. LBI phase 1, second disbursement part 2. Thank you to Stacy. We got that squared away. I need to do my part and submit it, but it's another $50,000 towards operating expenses that will be submitted this month. And that leaves us $100,000 left to draw down on that grant, at which point we can reapply for another $200,000 per year for 2 more years. So it helps with overhead. You have to draw it down quarterly. It's working. Congressional funding, last month we had $1.5 million from 3 elected officials. Now we're down to $1 million because we just heard from Congressman Ryan's office. Got some really good insights from his office, had a good call, but they said no. So try again next year was what we got. We still have not heard back from Senator Schumer and Gillibrand. My understanding is that they haven't published decisions. So one of the interesting things I learned is that House representatives, all of the House representatives get 15 total asks. And senators get unlimited amounts of asks. So there is a greater chance to get funded from Senate. To me, it's a very opaque process. I've never understood the congressional funding. It's more, it's on a website now, which is helpful, but we're learning more as we go and we will continue to apply if we're not successful. Maybe that's by design. I don't think it is. I think it might be. One other thing that just popped up that Stacy and I had talked about was the City of Kingston has put out a very small nonprofit ARPA opportunity to cover operating expenses in 2021 or 2022. I assume 2022 is easier because the 2021 is closed out.
You mean 2020?
We should talk a little bit about it because we should talk. But there's an opportunity for $25,000 to from the beginning of the national emergency until I think it's current. I have to reread it, but it's another way to maybe go after a little bit here and there.
These would be overhead operating.
Exactly. And it's very simple application. It looks very generous as far as the process. So we should be able to hear back quickly, be another little bit. And then this month, Daniel and I met with Novo and talked about an acquisitions fund. So to be continued, if they promised they would give us an answer.
So there should be an acquisitions fund to acquire properties on the open market.
We shall see.
Yeah, the pitch was basically, if something comes on the open market or the NST, we're gonna need some funds available, so basically give us a restricted kind of allocation of funding for that purpose.
So we can move quickly.
We did this last time with the last acquisition grant for properties only off the list, the resolution 172. We spent it to the penny and bought city-owned properties. It was very helpful to be able to do it. So we've shown we can do it.
I'll stop sending you listing.
Please do. I love seeing all the crazy stuff that comes up. I mean, it's really helpful. We're all in this together. Minor updates in my others category is that I still don't know where the state budget will come out in terms of LBI money for next year. So it's, last I heard, it was the Senate bill was at 50, the one House bill, and the House was at 10 million. So somewhere in the middle, but I think the program will continue. We'll be able to access money. We've already accessed money under rounds 1 and 2. 3 is still an open question as to what it's going to look like. So money will keep coming from that. And then finally, the Rural Housing Coalition TBD meeting of the Land Bank Association has not been confirmed. It might still be in the fall. It might still be in Lake George. So everybody could go. I don't know. That is it. Those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or should we to ABC? We'll move to ATC.
Okay. So Owen sent out a report on construction updates. Things look pretty good. There's only one that continues to be red, but not a concern anymore. And that's really German. Rogers has got a little bit of a schedule deviation. Things look good. This chart, everybody got it, I assume. It's really good, I think. Owen, thank you. You did a great job. This is always very, very useful. And it gives us a good status about where we are. On the whole, my interpretation of this is that we're in pretty good shape. Is that correct? Are we?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. So like the the red that Bob is referring to with German is just that we're drawing down heavily on the contingency for that project, but we're also wrapping up that project and having basically wrapped up East Union with extra money in East Union. And so these are the two first homes of this Legacy Cities projects, and they're gonna land fine. And then we're kind of proceeding on to Hurley and Rogers, which will take us through the end of the year.
And the one to worry about is Rogers, right?
I mean, it's the bigger project, but there's no reason to worry about it right now.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. That's good. The next thing is the Legacy Cities financing, what Kyle does. And really, that's another chart that we got, I can trust. The only concern, it's not really a concern. We were doing a good job by drawing down the Novo money first, and we're drawing down the Novo money without having to bump into the other funding sources, and that's a good thing. Let's spend their money when we have it. So I think it's a useful chart. It's worth looking at. In essence, again, I think we're in good shape. There's Kyle's on there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay. So I think I got that right. We're in pretty good shape with our drawdown, and you're spending the Novo money first, as we should.
Yep, we're in good shape. As you see, we've drawn down about 95% of the Novo funds after our last requisition, which means in the next rec, we're expecting having depleted all the Novo funds. So it means we're gonna have to start paying a little bit more interest, but this is always what we anticipated, and we have the processes worked out for transitioning into CPC funds for most of the project. So yeah, good shape.
Now we can tell Novo that we're out of their money and they should give us more.
Anytime you want to
You're spending it a good cause. So instead of going into the new property, we can discuss the new properties or go to the RFPs. And I think probably going to the RFPs makes sense next. So we'll come back to the new property discussion. We have, through the efforts of Owen and company, we have a couple of RFPs to think about. We have one clean out RFP. There's some quotes on it, and what the ADC&C committee would like to do is recommend that we Mike Andrew Daniels enter into an award or contract to clean out the next lift of houses at a value not to exceed, my note says 14,000. Is that the number?
That's what we discussed.
So not to exceed $14,000 to the lowest responsible bidder, who I don't have written down here, so Owen's gonna have to tell me who it is.
It's First Capital Hauling.
First Capital Hauling, who we've not done business with before directly, but we have seen them work and would like to do business with them directly. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, they've responded to previous RFPs and been close, and so they're would like to give a try.
Okay, shall we wait, or shall we go ahead and vote?
Oh, wait, that's a lot of room.
Right, we probably need to Ethel back to make our quorum, or are we?
I could tell a story. Yeah.
So we used mountain moving before.
We have used Mountain Moving before, correct? We've used them twice. They're good. They're underinsured for our work, and as time moves on, we learn more and more about the requirements of our insurance providers for our organization. And so First Capital has pretty similar pricing. I mean, they're a little bit cheaper, but they're also better insured for the work that they're doing. So that's why it seemed like a good idea to try them out for this round. But no complaints about Mountain Moving.
So we're looking for a resolution to authorize Mike and or Daniel to enter into an agreement with First, well, I forgot the name again. I mean, their official name. First Capital for an agreement not to exceed $14,000 to do the clean outs on the next lift of houses. So we need a resolution to that effect. First dibs.
Yeah, go in there, please, save money.
It's our stuff, it's, yeah. And it'll save us money if we don't have to get rid of something.
I can tell you that.
No, I have allergies and I went out there to cough and they're meeting out there, so I can.
It's coffee here.
My allergies is like, and once I start coughing, I just have to get it out, but I didn't want to be out, so I went out there and like, I can't even cough down here.
Bad year for allergies.
Oh my goodness, it's tough, and it's Birchwood today, because I looked it up, it's like, it's not even happening. And you're like, looks at you like, COVID? You know what I mean? I don't have anything but allergies.
So,
Anymore.
so you're looking for a motion?
Sure.
Sorry, motion to authorize to exceed, what was it? 14,000.
14,000 to enter into contract with First Capital Hauling and Home Services LLC to clean out 38 chapel for 18 house rent and 52 grand.
So moved. Seconded. Oh, thanks.
All in favor of that resolution, I don't think. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for getting that.
Yes, thank you. The next one, asbestos award. Owen got proposals in to do asbestos investigation. And we're looking at a not to exceed of $4,500 for the contractor, for the vendor, plus the cost of testing, which I think is, my note says 14,000, is that correct ballpark?
That's a ballpark. It'll be based on actuals, based on what the technician has to test when they're there. So we get, some of them give estimates, some of them we ask for per sample costs. And then so we go into contract for the survey costs and then a per sample price. In the past, it's been about 5,000 to 6,000 per home.
Right, we have 3 houses
For
above,
everything.
so
Yeah.
we can bump it to 15,000. So we want a contract. We want to authorize Mike and or Daniel to enter into a contract with, which vendor is this?
Quest.
Quest. Asbestos investigation. The contract with Quest not to exceed 4,500, and understanding that there will be an additional cost for testing the material that they find that needs to be tested. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. So you're looking for a motion?
I'm looking for a motion to authorize a contract up to $4,500 to hire Quest to do asbestos testing on 52 grand, 48 house for 38 chapel.
I make that motion.
Okay. Who made the motion?
Second.
In favor.
Okay.
Unanimously.
Lastly,
Thank you, Tyson.
we thank you, Owen, for getting an RFP together for the completion of Franklin, which is a terribly difficult project to date. Franklin has been a nightmare for 40 years.
I don't know what you mean.
Not always ours, but it is ours now. 4 proposers came in after evaluating the proposals and discussing it at the A, D, and C meeting. There were 2 contenders, 21st Century Living from Hyde Park. They're an MBE contractor. We've not done business with them in the past. And it looks like the kind of work that they have done or can do. And the other proposer is Medea, who is an MBE contractor, who has been our favorite, been a good partner for the projects that we have done with him. So we know Medea and we know his work. And after much conversation at the A, B, and C meeting, we decided that while we would like to do business with 21 Century, and maybe in the future we should do business with 21 Century, we're really shy and we thought that we should go with Medea to make sure that we get this job done this time. So the recommendation from A, B, and C is to authorize Mike and Daniel to enter into a contract with Medea Construction from Statsburg. The not to exceed number came out of the finance committee. Is that correct?
That's right.
And that number is 343,000, if memory serves. So what we're recommending is that we authorize Mike and Daniel to enter into a contract with Medea not to exceed $343,000 to complete Franklin. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I don't know, you had something to say. So there you are. That's so you need someone to make a motion.
If you want.
Motion to authorize the to enter into a contract with Maria for not to exceed amount of 342,000.
Yeah, good. The finished project. Second is up.
Any discussion?
And just by way of interest, I mean, we talked about this a lot. We'd love to find some work for 21st Century to broaden our base of contractors. But this one is, in our opinion, it's just too risky.
Do you have legacies that you see coming right now?
We do. Maybe one of those. I don't know if we want to give them all.
Doesn't the crowd?
Oh, can we do that? I don't know what we can do. That's a partnership with the county. We may be.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. We can certainly find out when we get closer. Right now, we're going to move through pre-development, see what the actual hard costs to construct are, and sort of assemble our budget, our team for all that. And then maybe pose the question, but it would definitely be more complicated than two contractors inside of one project.
Right. It'd really be better as two projects.
It probably would be. Let's keep getting those buildings from the city of Kingston.
Right. Yeah, standalone building would be ideal. If we could find one standalone was part of the Legacy Cities to do that, this guy. That would be- What are they? Maybe he does demolition work. Or Fairview. He could do
I
all
want
that.
so badly want some crazy person to say that. I want to.
Okay, so now you need to vote.
Yeah. Okay. If already no discussion. All in favor of authorize.
Oh, this is the one thing that Mike, that we talked about earlier, that Mike, said earlier, was that the idea would be that they would purchase, the goal would be for them to complete this in order to do one marketing period for Franklin as well as the other two legacy cities homes. So we do a marketing period just to be, as opposed to doing 2 separate marketing periods. If the timing is close enough, then we can do all three at the same time.
In that case, are we then sort of making a decision on AMI level for Franklin?
Not at this time.
Okay, so we could still market it or 60, 70, whatever.
However, the board sees fit, our restrictions are pretty wide open.
Okay. Okay. All right. Right, so, all in favor of authorizing Mike or myself to enter into contract with Minor Construction for the completion of 124 Franklin at a price not to exceed $343,000. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
So,
Everybody.
the last thing on this agenda for A, B, and C is the new property offers presentation and comment. And if Kyle's still there, if he could run through that, should we run through that quickly in that much detail? Or? The bottom line was there's a short story to it. We rejected 10, and many of the ones that we rejected were properties that are what I call residual properties. For example, there's a 5-foot strip next to somebody's property that nobody claimed, and it went for taxes, and the city bought it, and now the city wants us to do something with this. So they're undevelopable, they're not gonna be good for anything. If the adjoiner is interested in buying it, yeah, then that's great, but absent that, there's no reason that anybody would wanna buy it. So there's a bunch of those that we're not interested in owning.
Yes.
You know, and then there's 7 that we're gonna do further investigation. A couple of them are empty lots. A couple of them, one is Murray. A couple of them, they're, and part of, there's two models, I guess, empty lots. Is there something we can do with it? Is it buildable? Is there anybody interested in it? Can we get a partner to develop something on it? Would be the question. The other piece, like with Murray, is there any hope for this wreck of a house? Or, you know, and do we wanna buy something to tear it down? Which has a public benefit. I mean, this is just a big empty, you know, problem in a neighborhood. Daniel has a third option.
Don't tear it down. Let somebody else.
Well, this is exploring that.
Have we officially rejected?
We've not acted at all on this. I mean, well, not an act until July. We have to act.
Right.
So that's just a recommend. At this point, this was a discussion, develop recommendations for the board for the next meeting, so that we can say, here's what we recommend for these parcels.
These small strips of land, the parcels that are undevelopable, if we reject them, then the city holds on to them.
The city would do a public.
They'll do a public RFP.
They want.
Yeah, so I guess one of my questions is, well, I guess if we bought them, we had to sell them, we have to do an RFP as well. I was gonna ask, is there any like, if essentially the only kind of realistic purchaser is the neighbor, is there any kind of process benefit for us to be that there isn't really that, like?
I don't think so, and I also think it's more expensive and less efficient for us to do it, because we would be paying attorney's closing fees to close, and then you'd be paying additional attorney's fees to sell.
Does the city have to do an RFP for a remnant parcel that's not marked? And I remember, okay, when I was with the state, we had some of those, and we did not have to do an RFP. We could approach the neighbor and we could say, this strip of land, you know, we own, we don't want it. You know, do you? You know,
That seems like a very straightforward and reasonable path. I think there's recent precedent set for the city not doing an RFP for properties that it owns with grassland.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe city can do it. Our hope with this is, rather than do the presentation that we gave at ADC now, to come back to ADC with a more refined presentation, and then maybe bring that to the board.
with recommendations, which, you know, so this one is just opening the door that you're gonna do these. The background work to come up with recommendations. Okay, that's all I have. I'm done.
Could I talk about one thing you brought up at the ADC meeting that I thought was really useful about like the proposals once they've been awarded?
Yeah.
Because we're looking at additional single-family homes under this pipeline category, and if we decide to move forward with them, do we have to do another round of RFPs, was the question that we put out there. And I think what you had said, a rule of thumb that I think maybe people should socialize and consider, is if we're not going more than 25%.
Specifically for like the ongoing contracts, the maintenance contracts, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And or the asbestos contract, and or the clean out contract, you know, things like that, so that we wouldn't, because the RFPs take a month or, you know, additional time, and it's done a ton of work and walk people through the buildings. If we like how they're performing, could we just add on Abby or Stefan, is the
So
question.
the rule that I used to operate under is if the scope of the project doesn't change, with the value of the project doesn't change over the 25%, then you can add it on as a change order, or we just call it over contract.
Well, the contract, I think.
Right, so I have a contract, okay, and I'm doing something, and there's some other work here that's similar. Okay, but its value is less than 25%, I can add it to my project as a change order. Without, you know, and that's the.
Each time, though, like, let's say, you know, we already, right?
25%.
Yeah. Well, the first.
The denominator.
You can't do it a lot.
You can't do that.
You can't do it a lot.
Each time,
I don't want to do it a lot, just don't have to keep redoing.
That's cool.
so like a clean.
Not doing it a lot.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be 25% now, 6
But I
months
can-
later, we're adding another
Oh,
house.
well, the
Yeah.
theory is that 6 months later, I'm done with my first contract. You know, I can't have a perpetual contract, I've got a completion date.
Correct.
So now there is a mechanism to change completion date, but that's a little conversation.
Do we have a completion date with these? Right.
We have a date that they proposed. I don't know if it's part of the contract.
Well, we don't have contracts finalized or anything yet, but
We should have it as part of the contract.
we will have that included in the contracts. And it's more about making sure that Kyle and I and all of us can jump through these hoops to be able to draw down the state's money. So although we're noticing folks probably that they've been awarded something, we're not really going to go into a contract with them until we know that we can pull the money down to pay them.
Right,
For the contract.
so we have an apparent winner, we have an apparent.
I always like to use your terminology, apparent. Okay,
And, you know, we intend to enter into a contract with them, and we'll do so once we have our funds. And the reason that you do the intention to enter into a contract is so that they go to the bank, or they go to their insurance company, and say, look, I have this piece of paper, that says they're gonna give me a contract. Can I get my insurance started? Can I get my banking started? Can I get my stuff started? So they don't have to wait until I get the award of the contract to get my stuff going.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So we should write a letter to them that says that.
I think it's on my post-it. I think I'm going to start working on it tomorrow morning.
Let's say, you're the apparent winner, and it's our intention.
Thank
Right, lawyer?
Sure. It depends.
And I agree. No.
I'm done.
We're ready. Okay.
Trouble.
All right. All right, my friends,
Okay, so, should I go to the Zoom? We can share this. Budget reports,
I mean, Kyle's gonna go away.
sorry, now.
He doesn't know he's reading.
It used to be, we all used to be on screen at the same time, that's why I didn't know Owen and Kyle were there.
It's probably a setting I can figure it out.
I was like, oh, they're in the same place.
I think that's why you love that.
actually,
Yeah, right. Magic.
Well, no one's confused on that.
See?
Okay, so
Just,
I'll walk everyone through the finance reports for this month, for March. So first, here's the profit and loss for Legacy Cities 1. This one's like pretty much, not really much to report here, pretty much business as usual, which I'm gonna say every month. What was the one thing I wanted to know? The interest expenses, because of the CPC loan, the interest rates are going up, so that's the increase there, month over month.
It's not increasing rates, it's just us going down the bonds, right?
The rates are going up.
oh,
It's
I
floating.
mean, it's not, it's a floating, I didn't know it was floating.
4.75.
yeah.
I didn't
It's
know.
up to almost
Yeah.
9%.
I thought it was,
They don't do fixed. They don't do fixed. CPC also does floating.
okay, good, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's gnarly.
So that was pretty much it there. The balance sheet, also it's not so small. Again, you'll see the bank account amount going down as we spend the money for Legacy Cities for all the construction costs, but the asset values for each of the properties is going up. That's pretty much everything to note there.
I should know this. Does that asset value include the initial purchase? Or
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, so the asset value for each of the properties is what we spent on the initial purchase plus all the construction costs we put in to date.
And how do we account for like our monthly maintenance costs? That captured in this?
So, for instance,
Like, monthly forecast.
so that's an interesting, where we kind of get them, we give it to, it's self-cost, so CPC reimburses us, so Kyle put it in, so it might not always be like exactly, the timing might not look normal,
Right,
but it might be just like a little bit of a time delay. So yeah, so it's basically.
but that would be included in that.
No,
Oh.
it's not, it doesn't increase the basis of the property, this is like basis, it's on the P and L, so.
Yeah, sorry, so I'm getting back to the P&L.
Sorry.
Profit.
So you'll see it here in the utility costs, right? And the soft costs.
Contingency. So it's contingency, it depends on what the budget line was when you applied for the loan, CPC, where it goes. That's how I direct it, I wanna
Yeah.
make sure that they match.
Yeah, exactly. So those, because those maintenance costs aren't increasing the value of
Right.
assets, it won't show up here.
Got it.
Let's see, everything else here, I don't think there was anything else really major to report here on the balance sheet.
The one thing that is a little bit of lag in timing, I just wanna point out, if you go look, you'll see the asset values from February and March are exactly the same. This one last rec took a little bit longer, so by the time I closed March, I didn't have all the information. So when you see it next month, because we're on the accrual basis, March is gonna change, because now we have the rec in. So it's kind of like an accounts payable, but I don't have that information to put in there yet. So that's why that, you'll see in April, we're gonna have 2 recs that have moved through the process, and you'll see it go up quite a bit.
That's right, forgot to mention that.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions on the 2 reports for Legacy Cities? All right, let's go to the organization P&L. So you'll see here, the biggest thing was the property sale income for. That's right, Henry. So that was the biggest change here. That was the sale of 162.
And it cost us, look,
And it
$1.
cost us $1. Everything other than that is relatively straightforward, no major changes month over month from last month. In fact, a lot of this is like amortized over certain months. So for example, on legal fees, like we prepay in advance, so that's why the amount is the same every month. Yeah, nothing else really to note there. I'll just keep going through.
But they start work
We're
over
gonna
there.
wipe this screen.
That's right. That's good.
They've been doing a lot.
Well, there's activity.
They say that-
So I do want to point something out right now for March in the $5,000.
It's okay, I got disconnected.
Oh, I'm sorry. Went offline.
Yeah. The internet.
It's funny because mine keeps going in and out too.
Yeah. Let's try this again. There we go.
So here, in the environmental, $5,000, March. I put in the environmental for the properties we didn't own yet because they couldn't go on the balance sheet yet, we didn't own them. So if we weren't gonna move forward with them, they would just be an expense to the organization. Now you'll see in April, I'm gonna move that to part of the basis in those 3 properties. Same thing for in the property cost at 4,400. So So that's just like, you'll see, I just want you to note it, because month to month, they'll look weird, like, be like, what happened? If I compare these financial statements next time, they're gonna look different, I just wanted to tell you ahead of time.
So we shouldn't be very.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so that's gonna come off the profit and loss statement. And here's, you'll see, the landscaping, see, Danielle, in here, the landscaping line right there. Some of that has to be reimbursed by legacies. So you'll start to see that to go down because we'll get the reimbursement, because the bills come just to the main company and we allocate it. It's, I think, cheaper that way to get a,
One bill instead of many. Yeah.
well, it's one contract, I guess, right?
So I guess like, I don't know, you guys probably don't know, but when we start to acquire things from the city that are gonna be where our net proceeds may come into play, we're just gonna have to be careful about how we're accounting for all those carrying costs.
Yeah, it's a great point to show sort of, because under the disposition policy, there's a percentage of net proceeds that you have to get back to the city. So
Right, so what I do behind the scenes is that every single expense in there has another classification, which you don't see here. I could show it to you one time. It's classified by property. So it'll be.
So you don't actually see money.
Like, why don't we even?
No, but it's a good point, because it makes me really have to be on top of it. So thank you for pointing that out, because it's like, you know, sometimes.
Thank you.
So the other thing I wanted to note on the profit and loss, normally the organization P&L statement always has a negative net number because we're like constantly drawing down from the grants that we get at the beginning of the year. But the past 2 months, we've been black
Yeah.
because last month we had that big $50,000 grant, and then this month we had the property sale. So that's why you're seeing positive numbers for the past 2 months.
So it's a positive number next month with Hamilton.
what else will be negative?
Keep the streak.
But no, but we might get well, we won't get the LBI this month.
Don't think so.
Okay, so it would have been good.
When we, actually, I have a question. When we acquire properties for $1, are we listing the asset value as just $1? Okay,
But I have a question because I didn't see $3 go out of the bank account for the last 3
Then they
properties.
have deposited checks.
Oh, sorry. So that's the
Three individual checks in this room. To Janet Higgins in the city of Kingston's law department.
So probably could sit there for a long
Cast
time.
them
But
real
I'm
fast, so
even
they were
for them because we're on the cool method.
Mhm.
So even though they haven't cleared the bank,
Yep.
it's good to know I should get in there.
You gave me one.
which means that any properties that we do acquire for $1, the asset value costs will pretty much be entirely what we put in construction.
No, it's also the closing costs. So right now,
Oh,
those
closing costs.
those three properties now, we just paid legal fees and a title search. So
Okay.
those are 2 things you'll see in April for those 3 properties.
But the vast majority of the asset value will be construction costs.
What else would you think would be, because I'm just coming.
Well, just because normally in the other ones, we'd have like a much higher purchase price.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So like on the insurance side, I think it would be like some sort of appraised assessed value of the property. Should it catch fire tomorrow,
What we
they're not gonna give us $1.
Well, no, because we actually have insurance on it, and that's what we're gonna work on,
Right.
to find out what value we're insuring it for.
Right.
Yes, right.
So if it goes on fire, we're in probably better shape.
We're thinking
You know
about
what I'm saying?
For some, well,
It's not even great. So there are many different ways to set the value for insurance purposes. We were asked by our title company, for example, we had proposed that the back tax amount should be the value for title insurance. They said, no, go get a broker's opinion letter. So we got broker's opinions of values. That's one way of looking at it. From an insurance standpoint, historically, we've had vacant single-family homes at $100,000. It's just been like the number that we insure against. I don't know if that's a good number or a bad number. It's what we've been using. Open to suggestions, but the more the value goes up, the more it costs.
So when we sell it, then we have to pay the city back, right? Because we have to pay them some money.
Is it net of that?
You know, where does that come from?
Yeah.
So that's only
What's,
for vacant properties,
that's only for what?
for
No.
vacant,
No.
No,
Like,
if it's at a certain AMI level,
Oh.
7,000.
right, we gotta pay some money back depending on what we sell it for.
Let's face it, like taxes, that's different.
That depends on what we sell it
The
for.
ones that we just bought, if we sell them at or below 80% AMI, we owe the city $7,000 per property at the time of sale to the homeowner.
Period.
However, that will be financed by the project budget, so the land bank won't pay.
Okay, so, but it's not.
That was the whole reason for that number to be below.
It just never exists, or? There's something.
I missed that. What doesn't exist? I don't know.
Say that question again?
Well, okay, this 7,000.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm selling this house, I paid $1 for it, I sunk a bunch of money into it, and I kept track of all the money that I sunk into it plus $1. So I'm gonna sell the house, and I'm gonna get some income, but I'm gonna give 7,000 of that.
It's financed by the project budget, so your bank would pay for it. I don't know the right analogy.
So,
The land bank wouldn't cut the check.
so it never shows up on our books.
The $7,000 payment.
It would almost work like a broker fee, right? Just gets taken out of the sale proceeds.
But we record sales proceeds at gross.
It would come from the closing draw of a construction, of like a construction closing basically, so like, it would go like directly from the bank to the
Don't we
title
have
company.
Well, we have to pay the bank back,
Well, yeah, but that's from the sales of,
but it's a circle.
it is a circle.
Where does it show up in our books, is my question.
$7,000. It shows up in the books for the development end. So if we had to do this on Legacy Cities 1,
Yeah,
for example, how would that work? We would have a project line in the project budget, just like utilities or legal costs. They would say acquisition costs. So what we did at the construction level closing was we got $15,000 per building. And that was, we wouldn't do it the same way, I think, for, I've learned from Stacy, for accounting purposes, we probably wouldn't look at it exactly the same way. But right now, that money could be held in the, I'm just throwing stuff out there, could be held in the LLC's account and then paid to the city at the time of closing.
So it is part of the sales price,
right.
right? So you're getting $100,000, just say, you have to give $7,000.
But it's not $7,000 out of the $100,000 proceeds.
No?
It's a separate line item drawdown. So it's like remember when we closed on Legacy Cities 1? There's $60,000 that came in to the LLC's bank account and then moved from the LLC's account to the parent account.
But that $60,000 was, 45 was from, HCR, which we don't have to pay back.
Correct.
So that's where we gain, because we don't have to pay back. We're taking it from something that we're gonna pay, but something we don't have to pay back,
Nice what you're saying.
right?
And
But
so,
the CPC, we do have to pay back. So anything that came from there, we do have to pay them back.
So we'll make sure the $7,000 comes out of the HCR grant.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, I hear you,
That's it.
I hear
We're way down, right?
Didn't know.
you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I like that idea,
You know,
right?
Yeah.
Why not? Can you sell them on? No,
No one's gonna pay it.
I mean, we can move the money around.
Yeah.
We got to pay $1.48 million in back taxes in 2018. It's almost like they owe us.
Did you finish? I'm sorry.
Oh,
no.
Sorry,
I got distracted.
let's go to the balance sheet now.
Okay.
So because we had that net income in the last profit and loss statement, you'll see that our cash on hand, checking account has actually gone up this time. So that's exciting. Not much else here. We have this weird Venmo balance because there's still a password issue that we're trying to get worked out.
We do, we have to talk.
TBD on that.
I don't know, I can't.
Everything else,
Did you move it? Did you move the balance?
Did it?
Yeah, so we were able to move it, but, it's all right.
okay,
But we
so
do,
we'll have to fix that.
yeah, we'll fix that next time,
All 130 degrees.
yeah. Yes.
Everything else went pretty standard here. You'll see all the fixed asset values for all the properties. The increase in value of Franklin Street there.
Was that last mail,
What's that?
that was that last mail and payment?
That's right.
Went up, yeah. And then you could see that we gave back the change.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else? Still the same. Scroll through and get this entered into the record. Any questions? No? Okay.
It's good.
All right, so that's all the finance reports for the month. Now, the next item is the very much pared down investment policy. For discussion, I'll share my screen with that too. Sure. Okay, so you'll see this is a very much simplified version of the policy, but effectively what it does is really just two things. One is gives the authority to the finance committee to put cash on hand into this interest-bearing account so that we don't have to come back to the big board for a vote every single time. Hopefully we'll only do it once or twice when we do this initially, we will be moving it around a bunch. The second thing is that it just designates, when we talk investments, we're not gonna be dealing with stocks, bonds, things like that. It's really just an interest-bearing account, so we're basically just moving this cash on hand into a savings account. We specified that it would be an interest-bearing account, a reputable federally backed financial institution, and also making sure that we have full liquidity so that we can withdraw those funds at any time. This is really just a more cost-effective way to hold when we have cash on hand so that we're earning some interest from it rather than just sitting there doing nothing. And then lastly, there's just this item at the end about donor restrictions. So in the event we did have any funds that were donor restricted, we would respect that if need be, but that's doesn't apply to anything we have right now. So those are the main things in short, what this does. Any questions on it? Discussion?
How do you pick a bank?
So we have a couple of options and recommendations. How do we pick it? Our thought process right now was looking at some local credit unions, local banks that have good interest rates. I didn't get a chance to look at some of the emails you guys sent earlier, but we have some options. We're looking at Roundabout Savings,
Ulster Savings.
Ulster Savings. A couple other ones, but we wanted to focus on local banks.
Good idea. Yeah.
And we're also not gonna use CDs because that doesn't have
Sounds like-
liquidity.
I did give you that email, I just wanted to point out, I did just send something for Rhonda. They're actually really focusing on Midtown, just FYI, it's interesting, got a whole campaign out there for helping get Midtown up and better, get loans. So they also have this special thing that's happening this month for CDs, so I want you to reconsider that, because it's a
Okay.
very high rate for CD for 8 months, and I think we can pull some money for 8 months, that will be not hurting this, I mean, I'd like to partner with Roundup, especially since I read that about them
Okay.
doing
Other, the
something.
other good.
With that,
Well, the way we phrase this, it just says
Yeah.
ensure the necessary liquidity to meet the organization.
So it's a cash equivalent.
Gotcha.
See, it's not, yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
it's
it
a
is,
cash-
it's
no, it's-
cash equivalent.
it is.
It's not- We don't have, it's not marketable.
It's just not liquid, but it's not good to catch.
It is liquid, but we would pay, like, if you put something into a CD, you're not gonna be penalized for taking it out, they're not gonna take anything from your principal, what you do is you just kind of, don't get that interest that you thought you were gonna get, that's all.
Okay.
Right, so you're saying, okay, put it away for 8 months and at 4%, you're expecting a certain amount, but you break it early, you're just not gonna get the 4% for 8 months.
Okay, so ignore what I said about CDs, you might consider.
Sorry. I said no, that's why he's saying that. Because I thought that there was, when I first looked, they were too long. But now this nice one, this is 8 months, it's really a nice one, and it's 4.55, so it's a nice one. Right? I like it.
You know, at $1 million balance is $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
It's nice.
It's really money.
yeah,
That's real money, just
yeah,
buy down the cost of these houses.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks, Stacy, for the
And
research.
so 60% paying money, nothing to the city.
I don't know if that was contemplated, but it'll be interesting. Oh, it is contemplated.
Oh, we do.
Is it zero at 60?
No, I think that's
That's
just we should have put that.
I did put that in,
Oh, yeah, and just crossed it out.
of course, but that's very exciting.
We're still recording. Just kidding.
I'll publish it, I don't care.
So, sorry, any other questions, discussion on this? No.
Looks good. Looks like you did a good job.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept this as our policy. Is that what the motion should say?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Seconded. All in favor of adopting this investment policy as written as a policy?
Great.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited. In a few months, when we come back with setting the sales prices, for example, for the next round of homes under legacy cities, there may be a discussion around reducing that price with the board's unrestricted cash, and this could contribute to that doing.
Thanks, guys. So it's like a multi-month journey, I know.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, Deb.
Yeah.
Sitting in home, eating lunch. Cool. What do you think?
I'm like a little disappointed.
I know,
I
right?
did tell him, like, you know, they're all public, like, really? From like 50 of them. He's like 50. Okay, and other items related.
You have run about exactly 50.
But
You have run about 50 of them.
somewhere around.
That's amazing.
You awarded that?
It's gonna be gravel.
Get a gavel, right?
This is great. Anyway, communications.
All right, well, thanks, Mike, for putting the agenda, because we're gonna send it to you.
Give it a shot.
You did a great job.
Thanks. I'm better every month.
So the first item is there was a discussion of the lottery event on May 22nd, where we talked through various versions of what that might look like. I think Mike has said that we passed down the people who have qualified and will be in the lottery will likely be in attendance, which is exciting, but also, you know, lends to the gravity of it. Because there'll be people who are very excited and thrilled and overjoyed, and people who did not, who weren't chosen, who might be sad, and it's going to be a balance and hard in that way. Maeda is also going to join, and we'll be choosing, I think, the two winners kind of consecutively. And then after that, what's it called? Backup, what's the word I'm looking for? Alternates. Alternates who will be alternates for either home. So not for one or the other. The only, each purchaser will have written, each potential purchaser will have noted their preference of home, right? While we will pick for specific homes, so we'll say, now we're doing German and we're selling German, the only context in which people could switch homes is if the two winners each preferred the other home. In that one case, we would allow them to switch. Otherwise, there would be no switching of homes.
Do we know how many people will be in the lottery?
3.5 right now. It's up to a pre-qual letter from the bank was a hanging piece of information. We'll know in about a week. Kyle and I, we meet every 2 weeks with Pastor. So hopefully 4, possibly 3 total. The whole lot. So.
So it's gonna be like half of the bingo ball.
So maybe we'll assign each of them bingo numbers and read them off, read them off into the bingo numbers.
Well, I think when you actually pull numbers, if you read the case number, publicly, that person will know because they know the case number.
Yeah.
So the board wouldn't know at that specific moment which person's case number they're reading, but you might be able to tell.
Yeah, but I said if we actually have this bingo picture, we're going to use.
Well, I have the drum. I have not located bingo balls, but I can look.
I was just gonna say, I have some, we can write the number on
But
it.
I was gonna say that otherwise we'd have to correspond just a random number to that number. And then it seems like a lot of work, just for the novelty of.
As long as we make it more and more about it every time.
Yes.
It doesn't have the same color, because then it's discrimination, right, of like, oh, I see the pink one, I want the pink one.
So everything will be the same.
All right, so no more to say that. I don't think there's anything else to say on the lottery. The next one was upcoming social media opportunities, and this was really just to say if you have anything that you would like to have posted on social media over the next month, then please send ideas my way. Daniel, always looking at you for this because you always have 1,000 things. But right
I'm
now.
gonna post a picture of Jeremy about my boyfriends that I didn't
If we said it to the all thing,
I was like, now I have to go back and shoot that. It is a tough color to capture. It looks great.
It looks amazing.
And now it's on the record. Tons of.
So, as of right now, we have our, what I had, we're board recruitment. We have 2 open board seats, and I'm gonna make another push to recruit no board members, so please spread that near and far. If you know people who you think would be interested in joining us. Marketing lottery updates after the lottery, to announce that process is done. The Legacy Cities construction updates later this summer for the second phase. And then per Bartek's email earlier today, announcing the landscaping day at Union in German. To invite anybody who would like to join the board to join us on that day. I think that date is tentatively scheduled for June 24th, barring people's schedules. I know I can't make that date, but if everyone else can, please do it, and I will come to the next one. So if there's anything else, please write to me and I will add it to the list of social media posts. 2050 fundraising campaign. I wrote, there's not much here. I wrote a draft email, a fundraising email to send to our mailing list, really modeled on kind of half of humanity's emails they send out. But with a less, they choose specific families and highlight those families, and I didn't want to do that, so I wrote a version of it that is less specific to using one of the buyers. But I'm going to fill in some of the photos and links, and then work with Bartek and Mike to send that out and see how it goes. And then I think always looking for new people you might know who we can approach about fundraising and being donors, so always throw names out there. Legacy Cities, last item, Legacy Cities 2 and Franklin campaigns. I think we already talked about this, but
I think so. I had one thing jump out in my mind, just if you don't mind.
no, not at all.
It was, I made a note at the beginning of the meeting because I didn't want to forget it. For the sale of Rogers, that is a 4-bedroom home that is traditionally what we've done is sell for a minimum of 1 person per bedroom, so 4 to 8 people. We've never tried to sell a home with that large of household sizes, and traditionally it's very hard. More of the bigger household sizes you get, it just gets exponentially harder to actually find 8-person household sizes who are first-time home buyers who are wanting to live in the house and kids. Just for consideration, I was wondering, what if we looked at it from a 3-person household to an 8-person household? We can run the numbers and come back before the campaign. We haven't done that before, and I don't know if it's a good idea, and it would actually be changing our internal way of looking at it. 1 person per bedroom is the minimum. But from a marketing standpoint, given we've just done a campaign with 3 to 6-person household sizes, we've gotten 100 applications, we have 650 people in our hopper, and we're down to 3.5. I just get, I get anxious about it. Yeah, and so I hate to throw it out of a board meeting. I just realized I wanted to socialize the concept, and then Kyle and I will come back with some numbers.
Please.
Okay,
So
awesome.
to be revisited.
To be revisited, yes.
If memory serves, one of those bedrooms at Rogers is pretty lousy.
So that's a legitimate reason to
You could
consider that.
call it an office or a den or another nursery, it could be any other thing.
Or we could say it's a 4-person so that an 8-person household still could buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the land bank could, because the land bank makes the decision to say number the minimum. That's the land bank's own decision. And we do get some feedback from the community that says, I'm a 1-person household, why can't I buy a 4-bedroom house? And I think that's been pretty easy to navigate that question, but just throwing it out there.
That's it. Governance.
Great. Well, I think that's our tech. We need board members. So we have 2 vacancies, at some point, 3.
No,
It's gonna be on the council. Oh, and then also.
Is your turn out? Are you trying?
He turns out.
Yeah, so you're gonna probably.
before you.
What is
Elections. But I'll have to leave. I gotta figure out when the right time to leave is. I don't want to be in a position where something that the council has to do would be in jeopardy because I was.
You all the board at the time that it.
Right, yeah. So I gotta figure out when that is.
Scott, just probably sometime over the summer, probably.
Yep, spring or summer.
I don't like that, so.
So, but I haven't thought about, I don't know.
So we need new board members.
But yeah, if our endless.
They're hard
search
to
for
find.
board member, it's really hard.
Well, I've been asked a lot to be on boards recently, so I feel like it's, and I've been,
You said no every time. You're
Yeah.
strong, that's good.
It's a good choice.
Move to Kingston, give up this main job, don't become a volunteer.
so I applied to one of the houses.
Kingston is happening.
Yeah.
No, it really
The application is still live on our.
It is.
Go ahead.
And confusingly, the city has its alternate application on the city's website.
For what?
For board
The board
Oh,
member. But they forward those.
member. They're supposed to.
Yeah.
I like checking with the person responsible for it every month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just hard. It
Yeah.
is, but I think we haven't done a huge push in part because we were marketing the homes and we like kind of jumble up the message, but I think now's an excellent time to be trying to recruit people, so also as we're.
And dad, oh, he doesn't live here.
Told them. Yeah, so I think as we're doing tabling events at farmers market, we should try to continue to set that.
Is that the way to get board members? Like, what is the,
How did you all find out about the land bank?
yeah,
That's an article in the paper
okay.
that said he was looking for people, which happens annually.
Same thing?
You saw the,
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we
It's
should do
okay.
that more.
did you read a news article? Like we've done that in the past. but it's been hard to
No, what's the
get
website?
on our website.
That's why I applied.
How did you find out?
Just word.
I ran into you.
That's it. It's over.
You were tabling, it was the day you guys tabled at, what's it called, the brewery.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vinny.
Standard.
Got a lot done that day. You got like 5 figures worth of donations.
We could have applications of
I think the landscaping event could be a really good recruitment tool.
it was fun.
Send it out to the news list and
It was fine, it was definitely mostly, that's not true, the thing that got people, other people out there last time was the ice.
Well,
What-
yeah,
what-
that's what I was gonna say.
What's
Yeah,
what, the ice
Can we
cream?
get like a food truck this time?
yeah.
I'll try to figure it out.
It
Interesting.
would cost, yeah, I mean, last time we did pay, I think Minnie and I just paid him out of pocket, the kid who,
Do we have a budget?
which I'd be happy to do again too, but.
We should totally.
Who's the food?
He was great.
Pat me back.
Benny, yeah, Kevin,
He was like the best.
he has a Facebook page, who sent it to me the other day? You sent it to me the other day.
I closed the Zoom meeting, so I lost the link. But is Benny the ice cream man?
Yeah, he's on
The
this shit.
shit guys, right?
Yeah, it's like Italian ices, I see him out.
I wonder also if we should consider like a more dedicated, like open house kind of event to show like the finished home. Like, you know, cause I think
It's
last
like any
time,
kind of ribbon cutting thing like
last
that.
time we did a ribbon cutting, which was, I don't know, like a week before they closed, I think.
Yeah, why don't we do both? I mean, or like at the same time, like they could be the landscaping event and also market it as an open house.
Landscaping event, open house,
Right?
all sweet.
Will be soon.
Do people have some money?
Yeah, it's after the completion dates, right? So they'll be done.
They'll be done. June 20th is the last completion date. For sure. That's a good
Saying it.
That would be amazing to advertise as an open house.
I think that would like bring some people out and
I think that's a good way to do it.
I really see looking research
Wow.
into like.
Just
And what
the-
we did at Greenhill, I think worked out really well was we printed up like before pictures of each room, just put them in the rooms. And I think it's very effective for people to. Because when they're done, it's like you can tell how.
Oh,
They were.
It started, yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Did you
Thing is, you
do
had the-
pictures?
Dang, do we have before pictures? This man takes so many.
Hundreds. Yeah. Like,
It's, they're tapping people on the shoulder, trying to like, you know, it's challenging, but if they're looking at work, that's a possibility.
Let's do it.
One of the, this is what you and I were talking about before the board meeting, one thing, I know one issue that we've had with a small number of board members, and people who can and can't come different weeks is making sure that we have quorum to do the board meeting. And like right now, there are 8 board members, including the mayor, who's ex officio, who doesn't come. So there's 7 board members, which means but because it's seven voting board members who actually could come to the meetings or maybe come as well, but him aside, but we need 5 board members, so to meet quorum, so even one of us 5 tonight hadn't come, we wouldn't have met quorum. And it's just that's,
well, we decided it was 4 for quorum, because there's 7 buildings.
but that's
what
like,
we said.
No, the mayor does count towards quorum. It says non-presence is a
but that's the question I had was could we, Mike's gonna ask Brian, our attorney, is there any reason we couldn't change our bylaws slightly, amend them so that the mayor is an ex officio board member, but he doesn't count towards quorum? And it would be a very simple way of making it easier for us to meet quorum, which is not something we don't want, the goal is not just to reduce that number of small, we want the majority of people, but in the
Especially
situation.
if they get into summer and people are.
In the situation that we have fewer board members, hopefully that'll change over time, we'll have more board members, it was just way to make it.
It would be great, I appreciate it, to like not have to just worry about that technicality before every meeting, because we have big.
I totally thought that's what we already were doing, so I'm in full support of.
We also have to be cautious, you know, as we all know, some of our board selections in the past have not worked out as we had hoped. So I want to make sure that those people that we add to the board are people who will work out as we hope.
Let's do some
It's
landscape.
really hard.
Get to meet.
Right.
Maybe my sense is we sort of ask a lot more of our board members than many others. So if you're applying to join a thing on the city website, and you're like, tree commission, sounds good. Not to malign the tree commission, I don't.
They're hard working. Don't cross them either. Tree commission's big, yeah.
Should we want
I
to?
challenge you to find a bridge. Just kidding. Yeah, so I think upcoming events would be good, social media, keep asking people. Stuff. Always asking.
Anybody can think of a food truck, I'll go try to find.
Leave.
So what's that?
That's the Jamaican one that's always in the Beer Universe parking lot across from Trailways.
Oh my God. Yes. There's another, there's a woman who operates, there's a woman who operates one
I like both of them.
in Midtown.
Me
You
too.
guys been to the food truck in Midtown?
It's like always parked
It's
there
a
across from the gas station.
Oh, I've been there once or twice, and she's always there. Maybe I'll ask a couple of people.
Oh, Franklin?
I think that's right. Kind of across from the gas station.
Yeah, they are.
I just want to make it more part of their landscape.
You want to party?
Music.
Get you something that might
Food
be.
trucks.
So how do you,
Pro
how do
wrestling,
you,
maybe?
how do you get people to know about it and come? By social media?
That's what it was.
Okay. And a lot of people came?
And then, well, the big draw was the shaved ice.
This kid Benny literally tweeted out where he was, and then people, and then we get carfuls of families.
So we can get
Yeah, like this 13-year-old kid has more reach than us. Of course it does, it's 13.
Then we all talked to him about TikTok for a while.
So you're gonna ask them
He
again?
sounds like.
I just found his Facebook page, I circulated it to everybody actually, but yeah, we're gonna reach out to the
That's
guys.
fine.
Just put it on next door too.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I mean, a lot of people post on that.
Yeah.
That is such, it has never occurred to me to use Nextdoor as part of like our social media.
We had an issue a while ago, I tried to create an account for the land bank kind of thing, and based on like where I cannot, I think I used my own address. But it thought I was in like, thought I was not, it said that I didn't live in Kingston, so then it was also said, oh, I have to change my location now, so it knows I live in Kingston. Because, or else, places you someplace else, you can't tweet anybody who lives in Kingston. But then because I couldn't, it wouldn't allow me to do that. I could only change the location like once every like 90 days. I was like, okay, well, I just missed my opportunity. So it was like some stupid, so, but we can change the location now. I haven't done that. So we do actually already have an account. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do.
And maybe do it right now while you're here, so they.
The Kingston neighborhood setup, the way they have it set up is there actually are sub-neighborhoods, so it's like Midtown East, Midtown West, Roosevelt Park, like Ponca. It's like they have it really pretty dispersed, so you have to pick a neighborhood where you are, and then I think you can see things outside of your neighborhood, but you see less of it, basically. So, we can only change the neighborhood, I think, yeah, it's every like some certain number of days, so we should just be, you can be a little bit strategic about that.
Yeah.
Say we live in one neighborhood, another neighborhood 6 months later, as long as it's in Kingston. That's cool, but I have login info, I can send it to people as well. Awesome.
I
I didn't see it, but then I get the notifications and I'm like, oh, we should.
spend a lot of time reading about like a daytime raccoon. Not worth it. Cool. Oh, okay, I forgot something. I think I'm done with governance. I need governance related. So we're gonna ask Brian for, okay, cool. And then design, so, we finally met, it was very fun. It was great. What other kind of initiatives that I'm very excited about is basically taking kind of the model that we've developed over our prior rehabs, which is basically volunteer designers sort of does a lot of the design work in collaboration with the architect, and then pretty much all the fixtures and finishes on the back end, saves us a lot of money on the architecture side, and I think gives us some pretty cool houses that all look, different and are cookie cutter out of the box. So we're planning to recruit more designers to do that work, which
How many responses have we gotten?
a number, we have options. We actually have options.
We have some stuff
So,
to discuss
yeah.
at our meeting this week.
I have traditionally done this work on most of our homes. It's fun, but I am excited to spread that around. And so, yeah, I have to, what am I trying to say? Condense down all of our responses, send them to you and Christina, and we'll reach out to these folks. But I think we have a designer easily for every house and then some in things, so that's really cool. So the next step there is to kind of work with Mike and Owen on settling the schedule and order of events and exactly how that all fits in, but I think it's pretty exciting. And then another kind of priority that emerged was revamping the website this year. So we have a proposal that Mike sent around, but Daniel forgot to look at, I think, but it was from last year's logo redesign. So at least it kind of gives us a baseline, and I think so we should look at that at the committee. We talk to that designer, he hired, who did a beautiful job with our logo, and decide what's next. Could be an RFP, could be just a contract if our price is right, could be multiple quotes if our price is in that middle territory. Does that encompass our design community?
I think so. Oh, and we talked a little bit about merch, which I was gonna, I found one company I was gonna send out to the group, but I'll pull them together and see some else.
Cool. Mike, just because I couldn't find it for the life of me, can you send it? We've got two pretty big for.
Yep. Find it, I don't know it off.
For our t-shirts, right? Yeah, they've done a nice job.
It's got sunshine.
I can continue to look, I just.
Oh, fine.
Cool. Okay, public comments. Still having a public. So, any new business? Then, thank you, everybody. Huge congratulations to our team for their accomplishment, including $1.8 million. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion passes. Unanimous. Great job.
See you, Kyle, thanks for sticking
Bye,
around.
everybody.
Great to see you.
Night.
Look out.